Okay, sweet. We're live, so you guys can start whatever now.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just want to introduce ourselves this evening. My name is Alfredo Ricciuti. I work as a community general manager for the CIBC here at the downtown location in North Bay. And to my left, I have Bev D'Agostino, who's our financial advisor, also at the Main and Fraser Banking Center. Next to Bev on the left is Tim Ott. Tim is the banking center leader at the Cartier Banking Center here in North Bay. And to the far left is Tanya Dupras, who's our associate financial advisor as well at the Main and Fraser Banking Center. We are privileged and honored to be here this evening to discuss your financial journey to financial well-being and independence. We're very grateful to be here to this evening in partnership with Nipissing First Nation to talk about our financial workshop. Before we start, I'd just like to we prepared a land acknowledgement. So we'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory, and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically the Nipissing, Dokis, and Temagami First Nation. Today, the meeting place of North Bay is still home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work in this community. So I can tell you on behalf of the group here, we're very privileged and honored to be here today, and we look forward to spending the next 60 to 90 minutes of your time talking about banking and money. Right. Okay, so today we have, thanks guys. So today we have our agenda that's being displayed, and you can see the items in terms of why financial education. We're going to talk about how to enjoy today and plan for the future, how to grow your money through savings and investing, getting started, so basic banking essentials. We're going to talk about some credit essentials. We're going to talk about fraud and cybersecurity, and then we're going to open it up to questions and answers. And we'll do our best, obviously, to honoring the time limit that we have from 6 to 8. And if there's any questions at the end, please feel free to ask. Also, we've provided, there's a small gift as a token of our appreciation for being here. And we'll allow Chelsea to select the winning recipient of that gift. So thank you very much again for being here today. We'll go ahead and get started in terms of why financial education. And I will say that when it comes to financial education, there's never enough knowledge in society, specifically in the school curriculum that has been presented to us through the school systems. And I can tell you that we're advocating always to teach more about banking in schools even at the grade levels as they get into high school and even sometimes post-secondary. So these workshops really allow us to continue to advocate and try to teach society and educate society around building your financial knowledge and understanding the benefits that come along with understanding financial knowledge and financial well-being. So the most important thing when it comes to financial knowledge is being very proactive. And that's what we're doing here today, is we're being proactive, speaking to you in terms of a virtual audience, but just to bring forward the education piece around understanding the benefits, the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence when it comes to making decisions that involves money. And if you look at the slide, managing money for your spending today and for your future requires building a plan and discipline. Money habits are developed and influenced by those that are closest to us. And some of the benefits that you can see up on the screen is financial education gives you the tool, knowledge, and confidence to make strong financial decisions. And that's what tonight's about, is providing information to you to make great decisions and working very, very closely with you as you need to make those important financial decisions for you and your family. Also, by some of the benefits, by taking advantage and learning more about financial independence and financial knowledge, it helps reduce the stress and anxiety around money, makes you feel more in control of your finances, and puts you on the path towards meeting your financial goals. So these are some of the items that we're going to be talking about today. We hope you enjoy the presentation. I will pass it over to Beth, who will walk us through the next. Slides. Thank you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. No matter what your future goals are, whether you're starting to save today or starting to save for your future, it's always the right time. Similar to 7 generations philosophy, where the decisions that we make today should result in a sustainable world, even 7 generations into the future. This is our goal tonight, is to hopefully help give you some goals and insights around how you too can start looking at planning for your financial future. On the next slide here, we have 3 sisters. We're just showing similar situations, how each of them saves differently and has different goals. Lucy is considered a saver. She's 12 years of age. She decided when she turned 16 that she wanted to be able to buy a car. She knew how much the model would cost her and calculated how long it would take her to save for it. Her sister Wendy, we refer to as a happy spender. She's a very generous person. She lent to give away any extra money that she had. When she began working and had a regular paycheck, she still seemed to spend all before at the end of the month and never felt like she was getting ahead. And Lorraine was considered an impulsive spender, a big personality and even bigger spending habits. As a child, she learned to save or even have enough for all the things she wanted. She's gone from job to job and never seemed to be able to get ahead or save enough money. This is a common problem that we see in our roles as bankers. Everyone has different goals, different ambitions, and it's just our job is to help you choose a plan that's going to be beneficial and meet your goals. Some of the things that we look at is spending personalities. Are you someone who is classified as an impulsive spender, which means you like to buy things when you feel like you need it? Are you a happy spender, meaning spending money always cheers you up? A reluctant spender. After you've spent money on large purchases, do you often feel reluctant or have remorse? Or are you a responsible spender, that you plan ahead and only buy things that you need? Hopefully when looking at these categories, something stands out or resonates that, hey, this sounds like me, or this sounds like something I should be working towards. Trying to differentiate between needs and wants. When we're talking to you about planning, we try to get an understanding of what is a need versus a want. On the chart on the screen, anything in a red box would be something we would classify as needs. So clothing, transportation, groceries, utility payments, housing costs. Wants would be something more like eating out, going on a vacation, new clothing, a cell phone, going to the movies. Our goal is to try and help you differentiate between what is a need and a want and how we can help you achieve those goals. Making goals smarter. We use the acronym SMART, which stands for making your goals specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So we find these are very important. Sometimes it's good to write down what your needs and goals are. Then we can help you try to prioritize them and classify them and help you narrow down what is most important to you and is going to have the biggest long-term impact. Okay, and I'll now turn it over to Tanya. She's going to talk to us about our CIBC goal plan.
So here at CIBC, we have a tool that helps us be able to show you it's the roadmap to your success. So it reviews all of your goals. We put them in, it shows the shortfall, where we need to add things to determine if you're going to reach your goals and how you can reach those goals. We review it annually because your goals will change throughout the process of your life. When you're younger, you want purchases, you want to buy a house. When you're older, you want to try to save for retirement, those types of things. So when we do our goal planner, we help you come up with a budget to be able to reach your goals. A budget is a plan that gives you a clear picture on how you spend your money versus your income versus what you're spending out. If you're an overspender, you spend more than you make. If you're an underspender, you have money left over at the end that will help achieve your goals. Looking at your income and expenses, they do change every month. When you have bonuses, any extra money that comes in, you need to be able to adjust your budget. The benefits of budgeting, it keeps you on track. Budgeting doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be time consuming. You just want to make sure that you have a control of your finances. Keeping control, a budget helps you stay aware of how much you're spending, and so you'll have enough for what you need. Get smart. Once you start your goal and your budgeting tracker, you can change it as you need. And be ready to set any extra money that you have. Put it aside for a rainy day, that sort of thing. Unexpected expenses, a car needs to be maintained, you have new tires, things like that. And revisit your plan and your budget often. Remember to review your budget as often as things change, and you may have to start moving things around. You were putting more money into savings, something came up, you may have to stop that. But just remember that you can always go back and create your budget over and over again. There's a couple of questions that you want to remember to keep asking yourself. Are you generally over or under your budget? Do you spend more or less than what you make? What are you saving for? Are you on track for that expense? Can you afford if an emergency arises? If you're left with money at the end of the month, you may want to put that into extra savings to help reach your ultimate goal at the end for retirement. You might want to create a rainy day or emergency fund for unexpected expenses. You may want to pay off debt that you already have. If you're an overspender, you may want to kind of, how can I cut back? How can I work my budget to be able to reach my goals? Maybe I need to come in and see an advisor to help consolidate to make some payments less for you. Things to remember is that your monthly income may increase and your monthly expenses may increase, and you might incur additional monthly charges. Your saving goals may change. So it's necessary to make sure that you're creating a budget that you can follow and that you can change at any given time. Tips to staying on your budget: make some lists, avoid impulsive buys, shop around to compare prices. There's lots of places online and flyers and stores that you can, that sell the same product, but you might be able to get it on sale. So doing your research before you buy those big purchases. Redirect extra savings, earnings into savings instead of spending things that you don't need. Find ways to earn more, sell old objects, plan for